Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something really foundational. We're essentially trying to reverse engineer how top business analysts think.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Our mission isn't just to, list concepts like limited liability or franchising. It's about finding that analytical DNA, the structure that lets you actually apply knowledge effectively, make compelling arguments.
Exactly, because we see this a lot, right? People know the definitions, they can tell you what a business plan is, but they struggle to explain its real impact. Why does that plan actually change things financially? Or, how does it shape behavior in the company? This deep dive is about moving from just knowing to explaining. It's about building your analytical toolkit.
I like that analytical toolkit. So we'll look at things like business structure, risk, planning, even big strategic calls like location choices.
That's the plan.
But before we jump into cases, let's talk about the architecture.
Well,
How do you actually build a strong argument? What does that look like?
okay, so the basic building block for any solid analysis paragraph. Let's call it the PLC model. It's pretty straightforward.
If you'll see. Okay.
You start with your point, then you bring in evidence something specific from the scenario. Then you explain the logic, the connection, and finally, you link it back to the question.
And the C.
The C is for the overall conclusion, mainly for those bigger evaluation questions where you need a final judgment. For shorter questions, you often stop at the link.
Right. Okay, let's focus on that explain and link bit. That feels like where the real analysis happens, doesn't it? How do you make sure you're not just restating the point?
Yeah, that's crucial. This is where we bring in what we call the chain builder. It's key for developing your reasoning properly.
Chain builder.
Yeah. You start with your point and evidence, like before, but then you must use those connecting words. This happens because which leads to therefore, and this is the important part, you have to finish by explaining the ultimate impact.
Impact meaning.
Meaning what it does to the business. Does it boost profit? Does it lower risk? Does it help growth, competitiveness? You need that final link.
So if I just say this saves money, that's not enough.
Nope, that's just a point. Incomplete. You need the full chain. It saves money because maybe fixed costs went down. Therefore, the profit margin improves. And the impact. Greater financial stability, maybe more cash for future projects. You see?
Got it. It forces you to follow the logic all the way through to a business consequence.
Exactly. Every chain has to lead somewhere meaningful for the business.
But I wonder, using a strict framework like that, does it make the analysis sound a bit robotic, predictable? Always ending with profit or risk.
That's a fair point. The framework provides discipline, yes, but the depth comes from how specific you make those links.
Okay.
For instance, the impact might not just be profit. It might be, say, the ability to fund vital R&D, which is a specific strategic advantage. The chain builder actually pushes you away from vague statements. It forces precision.
Makes sense. And what about the really tough questions, the big strategic ones with lots of trade-offs?
Right, the ones where there's no single right answer. For those high-stakes decisions, the 9-mark evaluation type questions, we found the strongest answers always conclude conditionally.
Conditionally.
Yes. You need to structure your final judgment carefully, assess the decision in the short term, then look at the longer term, and, crucially, state clearly what success depends on. If you just give a simple yes or no, you miss the complexity.
Okay, that sets things up nicely. Let's put this toolkit to work. First scenario. Business structure and risk. We've got Fone Ltd. Anita and her brothers put in £50,000 each to expand. They were a private limited company. So what's the main advantage of that structure for expansion?
Well, the key concept here is limited liability. Most people get the basic definition right.
Which is?
If the expansion doesn't work out, the owners generally only stand to lose the money they put into the business. Their personal assets, house, savings are usually protected.
Okay, but that's just the definition. Where does the higher level analysis go?
It goes to the behavioral impact. Limited liability isn't just a safety net. It's an enabler.
How so?
The best analysis explains that because their personal finances are shielded, the owners feel more secure. They gain the confidence to take calculated risks.
So it affects their appetite for risk.
Precisely. They're more likely to say yes to investing in those new stores, which helps the business grow faster. It changes their whole mindset towards expansion.
So it's not just about protection. It's about creating the conditions for growth, making decisive action feel less scary.
You've got it. Now, there's a common mistake here we should clarify.
Okay.
Limited liability protects the owner's personal finances, right? But it doesn't automatically make the company seem less risky to, say, a bank.
Right. They were seeking a £2 million loan.
Exactly. The bank is lending to the company, not the owners personally. And especially for smaller or newer companies, banks will often ask the owners to sign personal guarantees anyway.
So the limited liability protection can be sort of bypassed by the lender requiring a personal guarantee. That's a really important distinction.
It is. What protects the owner isn't always the same thing that makes a lender feel secure.
Okay, so once the structure's right, the next thing is direction. Planning. Let's stick with Fone Ltd and that £2 million loan they wanted. What's the purpose of their business plan in this context?
Right, the business plan. People often think it's just, a document you write to get money. And yes, raising finance is a key purpose.
Especially with the £2 million ask.
Definitely. It shows the bank they've done their homework, market research, strategy, forecasts. It reassures the bank the business is organized and hopefully capable of repaying the loan. Reduces the bank's perceived risk.
Okay, that's the external purpose. Is there an internal one too?
Absolutely. And arguably, it's even more vital. The plan provides internal direction. It's the roadmap.
Oh.
It forces the owners to set clear aims and objectives. And that's the only way they can actually measure if they're succeeding. It keeps them accountable.
And helps them spot problems.
Yes, exactly. Spot problems early, before they become disasters. Without that plan, they're just reacting, winging it. The plan gives them proactive control.
Let's link that to objectives more directly. We have another example. Suheila Web Design, or SWD. Her customers started asking for e-commerce features. So she set two objectives: provide a quality service and increase market share. Why are these specific objectives useful for her?
Okay, this is a perfect place to use that chain builder logic we talked about. A weaker answer might just say, oh, she wants happy customers.
Right, too vague.
Exactly. Strong analysis connects the dots. Why the quality service objective? Because customers were specifically asking for e-commerce that identified a gap. Therefore, what does she need to do? Invest in her technical skills.
Okay, makes sense.
What does that mean? It means she can now deliver those high-demand services. Result: happy customers, good recommendations, and the ultimate impact. Stronger competitive position, maybe ability to charge more, leading to better sales and profit. See the chain.
Yeah, clear sequence. Demand, skill upgrade, better service, customer satisfaction, business growth.
Precisely. And don't forget the motivation angle, especially for someone working alone, like Suheila.
Good point. It can be tough going solo.
Right. Having clear, measurable objectives is huge. It lets her track progress, celebrate small wins, and keep that motivation up. It provides focus.
Okay, let's shift gears now to growth strategies, specifically franchising. We're looking at TradeUp Ltd. They charged a hefty £150,000 franchise fee plus 7% royalties, and they grew to 160 stores pretty fast. What's the main benefit to TradeUp, the franchisor here?
The big one is lower risk combined with rapid capital infusion. Let's run the chain again.
Okay.
TradeUp benefits because the franchise pays that big £150,000 setup fee. Therefore, TradeUp is essentially using other people's money, the franchisees' money, to open new branches.
So they don't have to borrow as much themselves.
Exactly. It means their growth can be much faster, potentially exponential, because they're not taking on huge amounts of debt or draining their own cash reserves to fund every single new store. The financial risk of expansion is largely shifted.
So franchising is like a financial model for faster market penetration with less upfront risk for the main company.
That's a great summary. They get the fees, they get ongoing royalties from 160 outlets, all without needing 160 massive bank loans.
Seems like a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
But top analysis always looks for balance, right?
Yeah.
Even with clear benefits.
Always. Rapid growth like that brings its own challenges. The big one for TradeUp is control.
Control over the brand.
Exactly. Reputation. They have 160 separate businesses operating under their name. They have to work hard to ensure every single franchisee sticks rigidly to the brand standards, quality, service, everything.
Because if one franchise messes up,
it can damage the reputation of the entire brand. If a few stores offer poor service, that reflects badly on all 160 stores and TradeUp itself. That's their most valuable asset at risk.
So the speed of growth increases the potential points of failure. The risk exposure.
Perfectly put. It increases the surface area for risk.
Okay, let's tackle the big one now. The real test, the full evaluation question. Amelia's phone repair shop. She's facing a classic strategic dilemma. Should she relocate? This is where that conditional conclusion structure is vital, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is where pulling it all together with the right structure really matters. Amelia's comparing two options with clear pros and cons.
Let's lay them out.
Okay. Option 1, stay in the town center, rent is higher, £1,100, but she has loyal customers, good footfall, convenience is high. Option 2, move to the retail park, rent is cheaper, 825 spes. The space is bigger, there's free parking, but there's only an hourly bus service, though a new cafe is nearby.
All right, let's build the argument using Peel. First, the case for staying put.
Okay, paragraph 1 argues for staying. Point. Staying maintains her loyal customer base and benefits from high foot traffic. Evidence. Customers value the convenience of dropping off phones while shopping nearby. Explain. This ensures revenue stability. Link. Therefore, staying avoids the disruption and potential customer loss associated with moving. It's the safer option in the short term.
Okay, clear argument for stability. Now, the argument for moving to the retail park, focusing on financials and growth.
Right, paragraph 2 makes the case for moving. Point. The move offers significant financial advantages and growth potential. Evidence. The rent is $275,000 cheaper per month, saving £3,300 a year. Explain. This directly improves her profit margin. Also, the larger unit offers space for more repairs or displaying accessories, potentially increasing sales volume. Link. Therefore, moving could lead to higher long-term profitability and business growth.
But there's a downside to the move, too, right? The transport.
Yes, and a good analysis must include that counterpoint. While the parking is good, the hourly bus service is a limitation. Explain. This could deter customers who rely on public transport and might even affect staff reliability. Link. So, the accessibility issue poses a risk to attracting sufficient customer volume at the new site.
Okay, great balance. Specific figures, weighing pros and cons. Now for the crucial part, that conditional conclusion. Using the framework. Short term, longer term, success depends on.
Okay, here's how you structure that final judgment. Short term. Staying put in the town center is probably the safer, more rational decision right now. Why? It guarantees business continuity, avoids the hassle and cost of moving, and hangs on to those guaranteed loyal customers and immediate revenue.
Makes sense. Less risk initially, but the longer-term view.
The longer-term perspective shifts the balance. Relocating to the retail park offers potentially much stronger financial benefits. Those lower fixed costs add up year after year. Plus, the larger space gives her room to actually grow the business, maybe offer more services. It's more of an investment in future potential.
Okay, so short-term safety versus longer-term potential. Now, the critical condition. Success depends on what?
Ultimately, success depends on one key thing. Amelia's ability to persuade her existing loyal customers to follow her to the slightly less convenient retail park, and her ability to attract new customers there.
So it hinges on customer behavior.
Entirely. If the free parking and larger space are big draws for her target market and outweigh the hourly bus, the move could be a huge success. But if she can't retain her base or attract enough new clients quickly, she could face a really tough period with lower revenue and the same fixed cost despite the lower rent.
That's such a clear demonstration. It's not just yes or no. It's about the time frame, the specific conditions, the customer. That's real strategic thinking.
And that's the thread running through everything we've discussed today, isn't it? Whether it's limited liability, business plans, franchising, or location, the way to improve your analysis is consistent.
How would you summarize those key improvement areas?
3 main things emerged. First, always extend your reasoning using that chain builder idea pushed through to explain the actual impact. Second, maintain discipline with structures like PLC. They keep you focused. And third, be precise. Avoid vague stuff like it will help. Say how it helps competitiveness, profit, sustainability, shareholder value. Be specific.
So for you listening, the takeaway is that strong business thinking isn't just knowing stuff. It's about building the habit of explaining why things happen and what the real consequences are for where the business is heading. That's the analytical habit to cultivate.
Absolutely. And think back to Amelia's choice. The best answer wasn't simple. It was conditional. So the next time you encounter a complex business decision, maybe pause before jumping to a conclusion. Try framing it first. What are the short-term implications? What about the longer term? And crucially, what specific factors will determine whether this succeeds or fails? Understanding those conditions is often more valuable than the initial decision itself.